Thank you for watching this video. This is a video based in a B283 class about small businesses, and I will be talking about a couple of topics here. I'll be talking about some analytical tools, research tools, and book principles retrieved from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. So let's start. Analytical tools. So I'm going to be talking about these three main analytical tools. The first one, it's growing through buying, then triangulation and best demonstrated practice. So let's go and move to growing through buying. Growing through buying. There are a lot of businesses, and this is including startup companies, small businesses, that are growing through buying. There are three ways to grow. Can be buying with someone, buying, or building. So buying, it's one of these three, and it's a very good option. It's become more frequent in recent years due to the increase of two main factors: venture capital and capital resources from IPOs. And let me tell you some reasons for why it's a good option for companies that can afford this method of growing. First, it's a way to grow sales. So sales growth is one of the reasons. Let's say if you are acquiring a company that will make you more profitable and it's related to your area, um, it's great. Not only not only because you're acquiring this company that is profitable, but even though if it's not as profitable, you can make it more profitable by combining the resources with the company and the acquiring company, and as well the talent acquisition that you will have. So that improves sales. As well, another reason is the geographic market growth. So companies want to enter into a new geographic market, and the best way to do that is through acquisitions. Find a company in that new geographic market and acquire it. As well, another reason for why growing through buying it's a good option, it's international growth. So let's say if you want to go and establish in a different country, but the process of starting a business in that country, it's a long process and requires a lot of legal aspects. You can acquire a company in that country and you don't have to worry about creating that business, and also the consumption that you'll have in time on creating a brand and all the issues related to that. As well, we have diversification as another reason, and there are companies that want to be diverse, they want to explore new markets. So diversification is one of those. Best example of that is Nestle. Nestle, they own Nescafe, which they sell cafes, coffee. They have as well products for babies. They have so many, they're so diverse, and definitely they started as one company. So that diversification is another option for growing through buying. Another reason as well, it's integrating vertically to your company. So let's say that you have a supermarket and you want to sell milk, but milk is too expensive, and you've been doing that. You can buy a dairy farm and provide milk to your supermarket, so that increases your sales since you will be more competitive in price, and it will as well reduce costs since you won't have a third party selling milk to you and you will be the provider. A good example of that is Walmart. They have their great value lines and they have farms they just provide to their supermarkets. And another reason as well of growing through buying, it would be definitely the customer acquisitions. You buy a company and that company has their customers, Um, that's a way to get customers through growing and buying these companies. So let's move now to triangulations. And in triangulations, I made this spreadsheet based on a class activity that we had. So triangulation basically it's as Steve Shu defined in management consulting and strategic initiatives, and he defines triangulation as the systematic process of using multiple methods to gather a range of quantitative estimates for either an unknown or a debatable value. So in this case, let's say we have just few information. So we're going to be talking about Acme Software Inc. And we'll be calculating a P&L, profit and loss forecast for them or analysis. So the only thing we know about Acme Software Incorporated is that they have 30 people and the average person makes about 65,000 per year, except for the three officers who make 100,000, 150,000, 200 respectively. And also they spend 5% less in rent, utilities, and 10% less in purchasing. So based on that, first we calculate the average salary per year for the workers, the executives, so we have the wages. Then from IBIS World, we have here the industry costs percentages. And so knowing this number, the wages, we know that this is 32.9% of the industry costs. So with that being said, we can analyze the numbers here and well just make numbers and proceed to make this analysis. So we have a revenue there, and this is for the industry, and this one here is for the Acme Software Incorporated. And here it's reflected some of the changes, since here we say that 5% less and 10% less in purchasing. So that makes us have a total cost here. And thus, this is how we make a triangulation. It's very useful when it comes to find data that it's unknown or debatable. So great tool. Let's go back here to our next analytical tool. So as next we have the best demonstrated practice, and basically this is a technique or methodology that through experience and research has proven to reliably lead to a desired result. So let's say in this example we have a picture here. We have company A, B, and C, and the purpose of having the best demonstrated practice is to lead to a high revenue or a low cost. So that's a way how we can increase our profits. It's either by increasing sales or decreasing costs. So in these three companies, we have sales and marketing, then the manufacturing costs. We have these costs here, and the best demonstrated practice, basically we get the lowest of these three, right? And this would be our theoretical best demonstrated practice. And the practical one, sometimes the lowest doesn't mean that it's going to be the best. Sometimes going to the lowest will affect other areas. So that's why we have a practical one. And sometimes it's impossible to get to the lowest since some of constraints that the company would have. So that's the best demonstrated practice. Great tool to identify how we can lead to a high revenue or low cost. So we'll move now to research tools. and we'll be talking about research, recon, Factivia, and Google AdWords. In research recon, this is an activity that um, made on class, and the best way to put it is that this is an experimental research, personal. Experimental means that you experienced it. So, or as well, if we use the Latin term a posteriori knowledge used for research. So a posteriori, it means that after we did something, we get a knowledge, and this knowledge of experiencing something, we'll be using it in our research. So let's say if we're trying to analyze a bank, it's really easy to go and read about it, analyze the market, how it works. But if we go to a bank and we just sit there and see how people interact, how many people go to the teller line, how many people go to the banker line, how many people open accounts, all of those are researches that we can do through experimentation. And the best way that I like to put these, it's um, the military reconnaissance term. That's why it's recon. Basically, you just have a map of what you want to do based on going and analyzing the area. So this research tool, I mean this research tool, it's for me. I would apply it to when it comes to opening a new business to see where I want to go, what is my plan. So it helps me to keep in track on what I want based on the knowledge I have. And obviously this will be supported by other tools and researchers as well. So now I would like to go to the next, which is Factivia. And Factivia is a database through school, Factiva. And this is a great tool. It's a database that talks about news mostly. So it's global news and business information services, and it combines Dow Jones and Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, and around 100 other international news sources. So you can get news from all over, and let me show you here how it works. So let's say I want to go and look for Goldman Sachs. And we'll just log in here again. And this is the Mackay Library BYUI page. Okay, so let's say I want to look for Goldman Sachs and Group Incorporated. I want all sources. I want as a subject to be economic. And let's say that I want to be in the industry of financial services. And I would like to find this in English, Portuguese, and Spanish, the languages that I speak. And let's run a search here and we'll see what we can find about. Yeah, so this is showing me here the articles, the news about it, companies. Here as well I have the dates and the number of articles on each date from September 14 to December 13. So it's the past 3 months. And it's a great way to find news from all over the world. So definitely a great tool. Now we'll move to Google AdWords, and AdWords. It's a great tool as well. Basically, it's you can pay, and you can know these keywords that will help you with marketing. So in order to make a good marketing, this is a great tool, definitely. So advertising system, and the good part is that you only pay once the customers either click or call. So they visit your web page or call, and this is a good way to attract more customers, reach the right people at the right time, advertise locally or globally, and you can start for free. You can create an account for free, and then you adjust to they adjust to your budget. So this is a great tool as well. So now let's go back, and I would like now to talk about the book principles, 7 habits of highly effective people. And first we have the begin with an end in mind. And beginning with this end in mind, I have here Stephen Covey's quote related to begin with an end in mind. And what he says, it's incredibly easy to get caught up in an activity trap in the business of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success only to discover that it is leaning against a wrong wall. So I like these principles since it teaches us to have a clear destination where we want to go, as well of having imagination to develop a vision to where we want to be, and create a conscience to decide which values will get us there. The best way I see it, and I relate it to business, it's the opportunity cost. So in order to have an end in mind where I want to be with my sales, let's say, or whatever I want to do, I need to know what's my opportunity cost. If I'm doing this option A and I'm leaving aside option B because I'm doing option A, but option B actually it's going to be more profitable, then why should I be doing option A in the first place? So beginning with an end in mind, it's to me a great opportunity to have a clear destination and to realize what are the steps, what are the values and the vision to get where I want to go. Then the second principle it's synergize, and synergize it's working in a teamwork. That's the way I see it. Uh, it's by understanding and valuing the differences in another person's perspective, we have the opportunity to create synergy, which allows us to uncover new possibilities through openness and creativity. So we can be more effective. So to synergize is to be more effective. So what Stephen Covey says is when 1 plus 1 equals 3 or more, when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, that's to synergize. So it's delivering always more than what's expected from us. And obviously, this comes through understanding that people have different perspectives. And that's why we can work better and build something better with different perspectives. Lastly, we have sharpen the saw. And basically, this principle talks about renewing ourselves in 4 dimensions. So these 4 dimensions are physically dimensions, spiritually, mentally, and socially, body, mind, heart, and soul. That's another way to put it. And I have on the body one, or physical dimension, ways to sharpen this saw or sharpen all the habits I've learned before. It's by exercising, eating healthy, sleeping and resting and relaxation. That's how we can renew physically. With our mind, we have reading more, being more educated, learning more, writing, learning new skills that would renew ourselves in a mental dimension. And in the emotional dimension, we have build relationships, we have give service, laugh and love. That's some of the options we have on renewing ourselves in that regard. And lastly, our spiritual dimension can be renewed by meditating, keeping a journal, praying, taking quality media. So all of these renewal process would help us to develop the skills or the other habits in a better way. So it's related to sharpen a saw. We're getting better and better. And that's it, the presentation. Thank you.